over. Lee Smoke with Craftsman Direct. I'm looking at your deck, ma'am, and I was just telling Al I like to look at things from a conservative physical perspective. And my role is to do what you want me to do.
Yeah.
And you're right. The deck is at a point where I would say it's critical because of features like this, the chipping, and that's a deep chip. And let's see what you got. Kick ups.
The scarf joint is.
Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah. They and what they did, they cut a bevel and they put a single in nails. It's not my first choice, but
this one's a bit worse. Yeah.
Here again, just looking at the decking, and we're playing fiddles over here with some of it. Depends upon how the rings are cut. I'm more interested in the railing, so let me do. My brother is a professional engineer, and he says do this. And that's the PE test. But believe it or not, the professional engineers, all this daggum calculus and science, and says that the bump is that if I've had a beer or three and it's not designed to withhold me, if I start playing football linebacker, and it won't, but if I come up and and it will, it's soft, but it will. And your joints here, they don't look good, but they hold. Yeah. So like I said, I can make a case for anything you want to do here. And let me pull a tape and check something real quick, just for an FYI. Okay. You see it's 34.5, which does not meet code. It felt a little low to me. And but it's been here a while and it's been working fine, but just to let you know that the next one needs to be 36 or better.
Could it have been code 10 years ago, maybe?
Maybe. And
codes
you know,
do change, yeah.
I tore a deck apart that you can see the span here, the rows of nails. It's a 16 on center roughly, and I saw a 52 on center with 2x4s. And the 70s build, the homeowner built himself. I don't even know if they had code enforcement official, but maybe. But anyhow, and there's I like to note things like, you know, the little bits of sealer here on the edges. In the event that we just start sealing, that you know, if I see things like that.
Is this meant to be tied in to the deck?
It makes it stronger, but if I'm building it, it won't be.
That's not much of a tie-in, is what I'm saying. Just a couple of screws holding onto the piece of trim.
Well, it helps, but the support here is actually the double bolts down there, which is a good thing, because that's the main support of it. But I'm gonna promise you that screw does an awful lot of work inside that little windowsill.
Yeah. Well, and the weather hasn't gotten to that, but the weather has gotten to many of these others.
Right. So. You know, I'm kind of, you know, I pace this out. It's a little triangle that me and Alan stand at about 100 square feet, roughly around 75 at the angle. And I think the other part was running about 300. So I'm thinking this is about a 400 square foot deck. And like I said, I'm going to do whatever you ask of me if it is addressing the 2 or 3 boards that we collectively found. Remove and replace, that's fine. If it is put in a new railing all the way around and the 2x6 is here, I'll do that, and I'm prepared to quote whatever you want. We will clean and seal. We use diluted sodium hypochlorite, which is a real fancy word for bleach, and also a soap in order to get this. Use low pressure so it doesn't raise your grain. Although your grain is almost to a point where raising, if you listen right there, you can, the soft rapid summer growth points, and you know, this board is particularly decayed, and let me get the sun, that one right there. But is it unsafe? No. If I get a sealer on it, will you give you 3 to 5 years? Probably 3 years, no question. It'll be fine. And an interesting feature here to look at the difference in what the weather's done is where your plant container was, and you see it's golden and around it's white, and that's the bleaching agent of the chemicals in our rain, and also the sun. But
that gives you more of an idea of what the finish was like before
At
the
one
elements got
time,
to it. Yeah.
whenever that time was. So we'll remove everything. We will clean it thoroughly, and I want it to dry. So my moisture meter reading is 15% or less. We will apply the coating of your choice, the product of your choice, and be prepared though. If we have a rainy season like we did one year, I had to wait 3 months before we could seal a deck we built. And if it's really dry, like maybe a week or so in August, this could be done up to a few days.
Right. Well, when you look at all the cupping of these caps, does that suggest that you'd be replacing them, or are you saying because it's under code at this point,
Yeah.
you might want to replace the whole thing? Or, I mean, is there a legal issue or a liability issue if somebody's playing frisbee up here and
Yeah.
crashes through? Well, then
There's a liability issue if you have a deck on code and they still fall. I mean, I don't care if it's, really who it is. I mean, if you had a 40-inch railing or a 50-inch railing and somebody gets hurt, you still have exposure.
yeah.
I mean, maybe less exposure because of your due diligence, so to make this a safe environment. But are you inviting people up here to play frisbee a whole lot would be my question. And let's get responsible people on the property that behave appropriately to the venue and respect the deck. Here again, I wouldn't build this rail or modify this rail in any way if that's a concern, is exposure from injury. So because you'll always have that. But
would you replace these severely bowed pieces going on around? I mean, if you replace a few, then
well, the question then begs, where do you stop?
exactly right.
So
that is the question.
If like
There's an awful lot of twisting, for example, on this here post, which
Yeah.
is pulled away. I've taken out. This was a broken screw.
Sure.
It was a deck screw, but it was a broken one.
But see, I push on that post, and I'm using reasonable pressure. I'm not trying to break it off,
Yeah,
but it's pushing back,
it's fairly sturdy, is what you're saying.
aggressively pushing back. It's not. If I took everything off, it would hold well. And then if you take these points off because of the concave and the separation, what I believe here happened is your 2x4 twisted, or maybe a combination, because you do have a little turning here on your 4x4.
That's right, yes.
And it turned in, which made that gap excessive. But are you not going to attack the gap here and then here? And once you do those, you do spindle, and then do you do bottom rail too? So
So where do you stop is your question.
well, yeah, and it's a question open for discussion. Primarily the homeowner and the person writing that big check at the end of this needs to participate in an awful lot. But you got a fine deck that I would be replacing this rail if it was a rental and you had a bunch of folks from Duke and Chapel Hill and they were about to win national championship. I'd be terrified.
I heard you.
And you put a big old keg over here, and I went to Clemmons, and my brother-in-law talks about always this deck on the side of a mountain that pulled off the side of the house on a ledger. They had 800 kids up there partying when we won something, and it went sliding down the mountains, and it made a whole bunch of moms mad
Well, yeah.
because the kids were now in the hospital instead of in classes. But here again, what is its use? And if it's normal, then I would say the rail you have will be fine. If you're looking to do a couple of things, probably what I would recommend is and that's got a screw in it already.
Well, some muddy years ago apparently has come in and done a little.
I have spot repaired a deck of a very, very, actually started as a customer, became close friends because we spent so much time fixing her house. But she was disappointed. In the end, we ended up stripping everything. She had 2x6 decking. You have 5/4, which is a $1 per linear board foot. And when we spot repaired it, picking and choosing,
You mean certain boards?
some were really nice, and I can make a huge case for taking this whole deck apart.
Well, something like this, you'd have to replace the board. It's pretty
Sure, I agree.
far away.
I agree, and maybe some input. But what I want to do is get out here in a timely manner, let you guys know we are responsive and we are in Crowsdale, and we've been here for 12 years. and we're insured. We're not going anywhere, and we've won 21 Super Service Awards from Angie's List last year. So we're very good at what we do in a lot of different things in a lot of places. What we try to do is build long-term relationships with our communities and our customers. But you know, it's if you said, Lee, it's time to replace your decking, I would be in full agreement. If you said, Lee, can you help me get 3 more years out of it? And I would say, yep, we can. And if you can pick whatever boards, like maybe this one, or you know, you can I don't know, you can push it down or maybe snap it off, but a lot of it depends upon what your vision is.
Right.
And,
well, this isn't going to repair itself, or any of these things will not.
No, it won't. It won't get any better. But what the sealer is going to do, and I'm going to give you a per price per application, and we might have to do 2 runs. But it's been a long time since sealer's been on this deck.
Well, yeah, I think, I mean, she bought this